and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
I am so excited. We have Leah Dietzen with us today, and okay, for those of you who are familiar with the local Red Lotus Life community, how we originally started this, Leah actually came when 2019 or 2018?
That's a hard question. I have no concept of time anymore. Maybe.
I feel like it was 2019. I think that's when you came back over. Okay. So Leah came, so she lives in Peru right now, and she actually came in 2019. She got in touch with me and said, I am being called to heal the land of southern Utah with cacao and all the things that you had learned about cacao and how to help and support the land, right? And to give back to the land. And so we had actually held 2 or 3 cacao ceremonies here.
I think 2.
Yeah, 2. And they were amazing, beautiful, powerful. The time that we spent together here was amazing and always magical. I actually had the honor of you prepared the cacao in my kitchen even.
That's right. Yeah.
I got to see that. That was amazing. But we go a few years back. I feel like it might even be like 5 years ago now.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually.
Yeah. So I met you when you were working in Springdale. I think you were living in Springdale at the time as well. And that's at the mouth of Zion National Park. For those of you that don't know, there's a lot of people here that are always checking out all the photos that I have of all the majestic cliffs and the red rocks and all that. So Leah actually lived there at the mouth of that canyon and that sacred space. And that's how I met her. And we've been on this incredible individual journeys, but we keep doing this, even though you live in another country, how far away even.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of experiences with you, even with Pranic healing, and even with you working on my pups too, and communicating with my pups. So I'm really excited and honored to have you in this internet space, in the etherwebs, and being able to talk about this with the Red Lotus Life group too, because you have so many magical gifts and so much knowledge and wisdom. And I'm just really, really happy to have you here in this space. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to just turn the time over to you. Like if you wanted to open with some kind of ceremony or invocation.
Yeah. I always like to start just anything with invocation. My teacher always says you can do things on your own, but why would you do that if you have a team? So I'm going to call in the team. And this is, it's a mixture of a prayer that I learned from Pranic healing and then working like with Peru and like becoming more in touch with the natural elements. I've kind of called in my guides and my teachers of the earth elementals and the plants and all that. So it's a nice little concoction there. To the Divine Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, to all of our great teachers, all of our holy masters, all of the great saints, gurus, great beings of light, holy wisdom keepers, to all of our angels and archangels, to all of our ancestors, the ones that planted the seeds and pulled the weeds, to all the earth elementals, to all the beings of the plant kingdom, all the beings of the animal kingdom, to all the higher souls that are witnessing this video today. We humbly invoke you for your divine guidance, divine help, divine healing, and protection. Thank you for allowing me to be a bridge and conduit of this work. Thank you for allowing others to hear and receive information that might support and sustain them on their journey. Thank you for allowing me and Lori to gather together today and share the medicine and the wisdom that wants to come through to feed all of us today. We're just so very humbled, grateful, and thankful for this opportunity to gather and connect in this way. And we say all this with deep gratitude, deep respect and humility, deep love and devotion. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. That was beautiful.
Thank you. The
Thank
gods
you.
of air conditioning joined us too.
That's nice. You're actually, I guess I should say you're actually in the States right now.
Yep. I'm
Only
visiting
for a
family
little.
in Washington.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really amazing. I just want to see, is there anybody that is, I can't tell, Mercury retrograde is really messing with me on purpose, I think, because I said, I'm going to teach people how to work with Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just been
Yep.
terrible. So if there is anybody who is live and watching us, please let us know if you can hear us. I'd like to see if comments are coming through. So if somebody could even just say hello, that would be great. And if you have questions, if you are here live with us and have questions for Leah, or if you are watching the replay, please put your questions here, and then she will come back in and answer them. So what are you feeling called to talk about today? I feel like there's so much we can learn.
I know. Well, I guess I'll just start with like a brief little introduction. So the work that I do pranic energy healing on humans. And so pranic energy healing in particular, I kind of look at it like a garden or a computer. You know, like we have like, you know, maybe computer coding, and maybe we got like the download at a young age, you know, don't trust people, or you're not good enough, or whatever it is, you know, that we pick up from our environments. And we've got this code that we're still running in the background, you know. So pranic healing is a lot of just like going in and like, oh, delete, so that you can run on like your optimal performance, so that you can choose like what coding you want to put in. So many of us, I think, are trying to like rewrite our code without going in and deleting like all the things that are really running the systems. And so yeah, and then pranic healing with the humans, it's for physical stuff, emotional stuff, trauma, things like that. And then I also work with animals. So I do animal communication, pranic healing on animals, training, and behavior. And actually, the majority of that is all remote, over the phone. So I can actually even do training and behavior stuff over the phone. I just need a picture of the animal, a picture of the human, and just kind of tuning in. And it's actually fascinating because maybe we can go into this a little later, but a lot of the animals like that people bring to me these days, like sometimes it's something specifically going on with the animal, but a lot of the times the animals are pointing it back to the human, like this is something that's attached to something in your family line. Maybe the dog or the cat is presenting a certain, you know, certain set of symptomology. But hey, like what hasn't been cleared or brought to peace with your mother, with your great grandfather, you know, with this old pattern, like I'm feeling a lot of like anger. So that's been actually really fascinating. That's actually escalated in the last year, or more. So that's what's happening. And then also in Peru, I do integration horse therapy. So I do like one-on-one therapy work with people. I'm just using the horses as a tool to show like energetic boundaries, what are patterns that you're playing out, and how do you actually somatically change what's happening in your body? Because we've learned to use words, but if our energy isn't actually transmitting the message of what we want to say, we can do the words all we want. And so it's actually been kind of fun too, because like I've worked with a couple people with horses, and now we're doing it all like online therapy. But I can like, remember when you were walking the horse like this? I want you to find that energy inside of your body. Now, when you go and deal with this person, find that energy, remember how to hold it, and then go and do the work. So it's actually been really fascinating. I'm seeing like a shift of working, not just pranic healing with people, but kind of like energetic reinforcement and like therapy work. So that's what I do. I don't know. I feel like, how do I even explain the journey?
You have a really cool journey. I really love, like, if you would, you can share any pieces of your backstory, because everything that I know about it is really amazing.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So, I mean, like as a kid, I was like always really good with animals, but I wouldn't say it was like mystical. Like I just got them, I understood them. And people would always tell me I was different, but I'm like, what does that even mean? You know? And then I was like on a very linear path. I had a vet assistant degree. I was working at like a high-end dog kennel in Seattle. It was like actually a private island. Working with like training guard dogs, like reactive aggressive dogs. And then I was actually studying animal behavior and neuropsychology at the University of Washington. And I got in a car accident and I couldn't do anything physical. And so my patterns, my seed patterns of victimhood and really victimhood got amplified. And I went on like 7 years of just addiction, like problems with the physical body, doctors trying to help me, Western medicine trying to help me, and nothing helped. And so I just took the pills, and that escalated to where at the end of my journey, I was actually on hard drugs. And that led me to a near-death experience. I had MRSA in my heart and ended up in the hospital, popped out of the body at one point, and the council, I call it, was like, you can leave if you want to. You have had a hard life. There's no shame if you want to leave the body, but if you come back, you're going to find your particular, you're going to find your purpose, and you'll be able to help a lot of others. And I did not know what I was signing up for. I came back and I literally was like talking to trees. I could tell if there was someone who had passed on that was around another person. I could see where people had trauma when they were 4, or if their partner was cheating on them. It was like just sensory overload of information that I had no context for. And I started working at a metaphysical store in California to try and understand how to manage that level of awakening. Because there were definitely times when I thought I was going crazy. And that's when I found pranic healing, and I love it. It's designed by an engineer. So it's literally like, okay, you've got kidney disease, work on these chakras, work on these organs, use these colors. And it was a very practical container to deal with the enormity of information. We're like, oh, you've got addiction, trauma, do this protocol. And was doing that for a long time. And finally, I was just like, I've always loved animals. Why am I not doing this work with animals? And switched over to that. Then the journey, I know that there was a sense of needing to find roots. And so I've worked with a lot of indigenous tribes. And I think there's just like a quest to learn from these healers from all over the world. These people that are doing it, but doing it in a way that feels rooted in tradition. So I am so grateful to all the places that I've gleaned this information from, and really honor and appreciate that they have been so willing to share that information with me, and, invite and give me permission to share it, with others. So Guatemala, going to Guatemala, learning about how, going to Australia, going to Nepal, doing work in Buddhism, Peru with the Quero in the Andes Mountains, and the Shipibo tribe in the jungles. And really just learning all these different tools to get my own stuff out of the way. At the end of the day, that's what it is. because like for me to do what I want to do, I have to get, as much cleaned up so I can be as clear as possible. And holding it with grace, that is a never ending journey.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Holding it with grace.
Yep. But yeah, so that's like just I think a short recap of like what's led me to like the here and now. And like that, I mean, for me, it's been 11 years of really intensive work, and learning and practice, to get me where I am today, where it's just like, okay, like how do we now like share these tools that I've learned to people that can't go and spend a month off grid in a jungle in Peru?
Yes. That's the part that's been so beautiful. As you were going through your story just now, I was remembering just all the things that you have taught me. Like you were the first person that came into my life that, and I don't even know if you know these things because I'm sitting here like, yep, that happened, and that happened, and that happened. You are the first person that came into my life that truly lived your beliefs. Like even back then, you truly lived. Let's see, I'm even trying to think, like you were the person that first showed me that you spent more money on your food than you did on your rent. I remember that conversation we had. It was so important to you because of the things that you had gone through, the car accident, all the things, MRSA, everything. And you were the first person that actually did that. Like there was no negotiation. You taught me what it was like to actually live that, and you didn't preach it. It was just you. It was just who you were, which I appreciate that, because there's so many people out there. I'm sure I'm one of them, because I'm seeing this and saying this now. So the whole mirror theory, right? Of like you talk about this, and you talk about how to support the body and how you support at a cellular level, but then you go out and eat pizza. Or you go out and have, whatever it is. And yes, I am guilty of that because I had pizza last night. So I mean, like, yes, I am guilty of that. Right, it is. But you were the first person that actually like showed me by being that. You weren't preaching it, you weren't talking about it. I knew your story, and then I saw you actually
living it
and shopping at the like food, and the source of the food was so important to you, and it was just non-negotiable. And it wasn't because the beauty that I really appreciated about this piece was that it wasn't like I'm vegan because I don't want to eat animals, or that type of thing. It was this is how it supports me at a cellular level, and then you were that. You're the one that actually taught me that why organic was so, I mean, you hear about why organic is, but for whatever reason, you showed me something different. It landed with me whenever I saw you living it. And then you're the first person that when I went and I helped you support that workshop that you had done, and you were the first person that actually had me expanding my auric field as far out in that manner, and me playing with it in the way that we were playing with it, and for me to actually connect with that and go, oh yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm able to actually pull it out, bring it at, but we were playing with it in ways that landed so differently. And then there was one more thing. Also, obviously, the work you went and left and did with the land, but also I had gone to a yoga class, and you were there. I had never been there before, ever. Like ever. It had never been. I was like, I'm just going to try this. And then you were there. And then once again, it was you doing the breath work and living and being that, doing your yoga practice. Let me just say, I witnessed you doing your yoga practice, and I was like, I like what she's doing over there. I don't even know if I knew you that well then. I may have just known who you were, and that was it. And I was like, she's doing it for real, and that's what I know. Like that's what I want to. I don't want to be taught how to do it. I want to actually witness people doing these things. And so when I say you live your beliefs on such a different level than what I had ever seen before. And I think that's why I was so drawn to you and our connection.
Well, it's interesting, that topic that you bring up, because it's like it's authenticity, right? And it's like I can feel my wheels turning, because it's interesting, because, and I'm guilty of this as well, like, you know, and I feel like we all have to try on different hats at different times to figure out what's true for us. But I see a lot of people come to Peru and they instantly are like dressing like this and this and this. And like, honestly, I am walking around in a tank top, pair of jeans, some yoga pants, and a pair of boots. I'm swearing. Because that's me, you know, at least like the way that Leah shows up in, you know, this reality, that is how I work, how I live. And what's interesting is like the best healers that I've connected with, they're not necessarily, maybe they're looking apart, but most of them are like also just in jeans and a hat and a t-shirt. But then when it's time to sit down and tune in and do the work, it's coming through purely. And that doesn't matter if you're a healer, if you're doing business, you know, but to like have that level of like, this is me. And I'm doing it not only to honor myself, but to be in the natural cycle and flows of the rhythms of the earth, you know, and also to be able to be grounded and clear enough that I can share my particular brand of magic. That's what the world needs. It doesn't matter how it ends up showing up. Just like whatever you're doing, own it for yourself and just do it.
I will say that I did like how you showed up to the cacao ceremonies though, because you were in that dress, you know, you were full on in your shamanic, shamanic flow, in your shamanic energy. And that's another thing. Again, you were being that authentic self, and you were teaching the wisdom, you know, your wisdom and your knowledge of land, and showing, you know, honoring the land, honoring the ancestors, honoring all of that, and then showing the symbolism for each thing. And so, I mean, I've seen you in that as well. And that's also why I love you. This is why I love you, because you do show up in so many ways. And it's just that authenticity, and that has never, that's never been broken the entire time I've known you. And it's been so beautiful to watch this evolution of you and who you are. And even though you and we talk about our own modalities and our own practices and all the things, and it's like, they're very much over here on each side, but also the same, like at the end of the day. And so I love talking to you about the work that you do. And just, I don't know, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful to witness. So,
well, and it's interesting too, because like the thing that just came up for me when we were talking about that is like, I don't know, I feel like, and maybe I'm not right about this, but like there is something to be said about honoring the roots of a tradition. Even just taking like a second, that's part of why I do the invocation. I'm giving thanks to like all the information that I'm receiving that came before me, like thanking my teachers, thanking, you know, and the teachers that are like in physical bodies and the ones that aren't in physical bodies. And I don't know, finding that sense of the interconnectedness of all things. I think for me, it is easier to like drop in once I drop into that space, that sphere where it is connected. You know, then I can look at a picture of a dog, of a person, and be like, oh, okay, boom, 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 boom. You know, it's no longer just about me. It's about the weaving that we're all doing together.
I love every single piece of what you just said, because that's also another reason I'm very particular about who I learn from and who I do allow into my life and into, you know, the teachings. And this is why I wanted you to be the one to do the cacao ceremonies, because I also knew where you had just been. Like I knew who you had been teaching, or not teaching under, that's not the right words, but how you had come across this, how you had learned all of this. And do you mind talking more on this piece on being with Indigenous people and to the root of the culture, to the teachings and all of that, even because you did even go, let's say cacao, for instance, you actually have a plethora of things that you that you work
Right.
with.
Yeah, I've got a lot of things
It can honestly be whatever you choose to pick. I just know the cacao story and have that experience personally, but you can choose whatever it is that you'd like. But I like how you go to the land, you go to the tribes, and you're with them. And not only that, but they accept you as their own.
Yeah.
Every time they accept you as their own.
I feel really, really lucky. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is, and I'll take this one, it's like the concept in Peru called Aini, which is reciprocity. If you're going anywhere, are you going to take, or are you also being mindful to give back? This could be simply like, say I'm going to your house, are you just feeding me and then I leave, or I'm taking your time and your energy and I like unload all my emotions? Or I'm also like, maybe it's something as simple as doing your dishes, or, taking the time to hear where you're at. Like, there's always this concept of, is the giving and the receiving balanced? That's so important to me. And even if I have nothing to give at the moment, like a simple, like, thank you. Like, I see that you just gave something to me, and that is such a gift.
Yeah.
And I think also going in without an expectation of taking, like, how can I sit and just observe and just be present and watch, and is there a glean of information that they are willing to give to me? And like, I know there's this whole conversation right now about cultural appropriation, and it's fascinating because like, it is something that is very real. Like, and also when you sit with your teachers in a good way and you get their permission to go and share it, it is a sharing that can help bring awareness to all of us. It's an information swap that we are so lucky to have available to us in this day and age. But it is that concept of like, am I giving an equal balance to what I'm taking? Like, I'm there in Peru. I am a visitor in that land. And I am gleaning information from these beautiful humans that want to show me what plants heal this, what plants heal that. Here's how you might do this practice. Here's how you just learn to be a good human and sit in integrity and honesty. And so for me, like, I do a few things. I volunteer my time, and then I also like, I just try and meet people where I'm at. I find myself giving a lot to locals there. Maybe they can't afford to work with me. So it's like, cool, this one's on the house, like things like that. Like, just trying to be mindful of my impact in everyday reality. And I think for me, there is just a thirst to get to the roots of something. I don't want to just pick the apple. I want to go and sit and be like, what are the traditions that you guys have carried on for lifetimes? And how does it serve your community? And, for better or worse, these are things that have made me a more balanced human. I am as white can be, German, Norwegian, and I don't have a strong connection to my family line. I've studied them, I've researched them, but our traditions have been lost. And so I am so grateful that these families have allowed me in to just see what their traditions are. It's brought a sense of like integration and wholeness in, and I'm just so thankful to their generosity and willingness to share, because I think that's so important. We are being aware of our differences in this day and age, and we're also, I think, trying to find a way where we can also come together, and really become a global family.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You just worded everything so perfectly, I feel. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sarah, it looks like Sarah is on. Hello, Sarah. And she is saying that, yes, it's such an important concept this exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just noticed the time, and we have 25 minutes, and I could literally talk to you all day. This is usually what happens, I feel like. So, what was it that you wanted? Did you want to talk about the animal communications? Because I do know, I mean, that's one of the things that everyone was so excited about.
Yeah.
Oh, now I see a bunch of hearts now. So.
Well, okay, so like I'll do practical tangibles. So I think for me, because everything, it can be so ethereal, I love like anchoring things down into practical tangibles. How do you ground something into everyday reality? And so just on a very basic level, when I'm doing a session, I literally just have someone send me a picture. I tune into that energy. I have them give me a check-in, what's going on. And then I use all the different tools. The main ones are the pranic healing, actually communicating with souls, whether it's the animal, your higher soul, maybe part of your family line, and then the pranic healing. And you did send me a picture of your dog. So if you're interested, we can do a little demo.
You know what? I would. Can I give a little backstory? Because I feel like
that's exactly. Yep. Tell me. I'm going to pull up her picture.
Okay.
Tell me about her backstory.
I feel like the people and the community and the members here of Red Lotus Life and actually know a little bit about this. So just so that everybody knows, I sent Leah a picture of Nala. And so Nala so I have 3 dogs. Nala is the youngest. She's our newest rescue that we got last year around Easter. So it's April. We don't know a lot about her. She's just been, we call her the shit show. And in fact, I was actually working with Patricia Newton, that's also here in this group. We were working together on doing some clearing work and all of that stuff on Nala, because she was such a shit show. And I was literally in tears every day, all day. I mean, traumatic stuff was happening out even in nature. Like we would be out in the wilderness. I had packs of coyotes and all kinds of stuff around it. Like the energy that she brought, she attracted chaos. Yes.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of work with her, and let's see, we're thinking, we don't know for sure how old she is now, but we're thinking she's about a little over a year. Well, she might be a year and a half now. As I've been able to do this work with her, she is definitely calming down. Like that chaotic energy is not as strong anymore. But now here's the latest update that I wanted to kind of tell you and everybody else. So Luna, who is the middle child, she's the middle child, the lab mix, we took her to the vet this week because her jaw keeps chattering. And I don't know if it's anxiety or what's happening. We don't know if it's allergies. The vet actually said he thinks that it is anxiety because he also knows Nala. He knows what she brings to our household. So we actually had to put Luna, who is our perfect angel, on CBD oil this week. And we're trying that. If it's not that, he said it might have progressed already into something, deeper. And so now I've thought, this might actually work really well to have you take a look at Nala. Yeah. And I'm very much open to all the things, even if it is something within the house. You say it's a reflection of the humans. Yeah. Yep.
So tell me a little bit, what was your intention in getting Nala? Why did you bring her into your family, at least consciously?
Okay. Derek actually brought her for Luna. That's why he brought her for Luna, because Luna was a lot younger than Gabby. Gabby is our senior. Luna at the time was 3. So he thought, I will bring in a younger pup for Luna so that Luna could have. That's why it's a little heartbreaking that now Luna is developing these symptoms.
So the first thing that's popping up really strongly is part of where the root imbalance is. It feels like on some level Luna wasn't consulted.
And I'm so going to take notes.
Yep. Yeah. And so you brought in a being without actually sitting down, getting clear on what kind of energy would you like this additional soul to have, this additional dog to have? Do you even want this? And so Nala feels completely displaced. She doesn't know her purpose in the family. She was brought in, but it's almost like the connections between Una and Nala, it's not off, but it's just not fully aligned. And it feels like Nala in particular is actually wanting to have a bigger purpose than that. Let me see here. What are the main, you mentioned that she was a shit show. She brought in chaos. What does it look like practically? What are her behaviors?
So she is either one end of the spectrum or the other. So I actually sent you the photo of her. I said current situation, and she is just knocked out. Like when she's out, she's out. I could sit there and go, Nala, Nala, and try to wake her up. She won't wake up, or she'll barely wake up. Or if she's awake, then she is like constantly on Luna, to be honest with you, constantly wanting to play with her and biting her legs, but not in a mean way. It's like the annoying little sister. That's what it's like, the annoying little sister. And I'm going to play with you until you're so upset at me that you're going to play with me now, because now you're just annoyed. So you're going to be mad at me, but I feel like that's playing, you know? So that's actually what happens. She's either the dog that's running back and forth around the yard and being annoying to everybody and obnoxious, or she's totally passed out.
And do you do any practical training? Have you worked with a trainer with her?
We haven't worked with a trainer with her, but we have worked with trainers before. And so we actually tried to do our own training. And she's just kind of like, nobody's going to have control of me. That's how she is.
So there's a lot of information coming in at once, and it's actually like very practical. And that's sometimes how it goes. Sometimes it's super woo and ethereal. Sometimes it's very practical. One is start doing physical massage on her body. She has so much, it's almost like her skin is crawling. Like she's so tense all the time. And I'd actually be interested in doing like a pranic healing to try and like clear some of that out. But I think on a day-to-day, if you can, and I would put a little bit of, I would tune into one or the other, but sandalwood's coming through, or frankincense, and then lavender. But then going through massaging her spine. She's got a lot of energetic points on the spine that are pretty congested.
She came with a pretty big scar. So she was 6 months old and the scar was already this big on her spine, and it had already been healed over. So that means that it happened when she was really young. And it's so bad that there like no hair grows from it or anything.
So that would be something, if we had a little more time, I would go in and just like energetically, because basically it feels like what I'm seeing is that her meridian lines are getting kinked. And so the energy is just like,
that's exactly what she described her.
But what you can do in the meantime is literally doing it with the physical massage on the spine. I'm also there's points around her hips, around her glutes, the base of the tail, to really work on those as well.
So she has hip dysplasia. Yeah, we found that out.
Yeah, I can pick up pretty quickly, like where there's congestion. And then this one doesn't feel so much as like congestion, but like these points right here around the cervical spine, those need to be worked on. And then I think just the ears, they're not congested, but I think it'll help kind of activate those pressure points, those meridian lines, and those nadis to help. Once these congestion points are kind of cleared up a little bit, it'll help like, hey, remember, this is how we want to run. This is what we want to do. So just pressure points along the ears. Let's see here. Yeah, if I'm being really honest, I think she could use a full-on pranic healing sesh just to get cleaned up. And then she just, this is again very practical, she needs a job. She needs a purpose beyond I'm Luna's friend. And I think it would be better to find that job after kind of repairing the energetic field, so that she has the ability to do it successfully. I mean, if she was a dog, she'd be like or a kid, she'd be like the ADD kid, you know? And, but that, honestly, those are all just energetic patterns. And so we can go in and like clean up the energetic patterns so that energy is running a little smoothly, and then finding a way to direct that energy. And so whether that's frisbee competitions, agility, something like that, she wants to know that she's there beyond just being a friend. And it feels like whoever does that with her, you have a son, right?
I do. Yeah. He doesn't live at home though.
Yeah. It feels like she's wanting to tell me. I usually ask for pictures of the family. So
I actually have all male energy here though.
Yep.
So I have like a roommate that's here during the week, and then he goes home to Salt Lake City on the weekends. So he works here during the week, and then he goes home, and that might be the energy because he plays with her.
Well, and that's okay. Thank you. Because there's a male that she wants to do this work specifically with, is what's coming through. That she wants to have that focus and direction, and that it's also going to be something that helps feed whoever the male is. Like I'm trying to like tune in and see if it's with you, and it's just like, no, not necessary, not needed. There's something about working with a male that's going to be deeply gratifying and grounding for her, and also for that man.
Amazing. I wonder if that's Derek too. It might be Derek. Beautiful.
And then just a side note, do you know her breed? Is she part Kelpie?
So when we first got her, we were told Great Dane and Border Collie.
Okay.
But she's none of those things. Oh, so we looked at her and we're like, Belgian Malinois, yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else, to be honest. I don't know, because she has a curled tail, so it might be a little bit chow happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's a working breed. Kelpie's coming to mind because Kelpies in particular they're like a Border Collie on crack. They're like a mix. They're actually a mix between like a Border Collie and a Belgian Malinois. They're strong, they're focused, they're intelligent, they have a crap ton of energy. But either way, she's got this like strong work drive that needs to be properly channeled.
Yes.
And then let me see. And there's something about her in particular coming into your family that's going to bring a certain amount of grounding. It's almost like, and it's weird to say because I'm seeing like the energy of your home. It's like, and it's like clean and it's pure, but it's almost like it needs to be like, and she is going to be pushing all of you guys to like start figuring out how to attune and like adjust to that frequency of like earth. Like if she was a zodiac sign, she's an Aries,
Yeah,
and
I can actually see that because there's no flow. Like she's the flow. Let me put it that way. She's the flow. So.
Yep. But yeah, so there is something about that particular frequency that's wanting to come into your family. So if you can bring awareness into this is what she's bringing to the table, this is how she's inviting us to grow, and kind of leaning into it, bringing curiosity into it, and going with that. And then she is a dog that just, for better or worse, she needs strong leadership, clear and concise direction. Like it's none of this like, yeah, we're just cute. Yeah. I love you. Treats. She wants an owner that's going to be like, sit, lay down, roll over. She wants that really clear and concise guidance and direction. And And so for all of you, it's also going to really strengthen and fortify your own clarity that you can then take out into your business, your friendships. That's a muscle that if you consciously, again, bring awareness and step into it with her, that's going to be strengthened in all of your lives in general. It's almost like that, like masculine energy, you know, and I find that actually really powerful, especially when we do this energetic work. It's really, you know, for the most part, feminine, flowing, intuitive. And I feel like right now, life in particular is really calling for that balance of masculine and feminine in really powerful ways. Because if it's all up here, it's great. But until we learn to root it and anchor it into our physical bodies, into our everyday realities and lives, it's almost like that channel isn't coming all the way to actually bring healing to the earth and the people around us. And so for those of us that are in more of the feminine realms, like finding those healthy masculine forces to ground, root, anchor, creates that clear channel of energy to come through us. It's almost like she's bringing in that missing link piece of like,
yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because we will do that, and when I'm doing that with her, then she's at my feet and she's right here underneath, like at my feet as I work all day. So yeah, I can definitely, all of this is definitely resonating. So yeah.
Well, and the most important piece is when working with, well, anyone, but animals, kids in particular, it's important to be able to know your capacity of energy from a 0 to a 10. But you have to be able to go from your 0 to 10 in a neutral space. You know, so say Nala, you're walking Nala, and all of a sudden she gets distracted and she sees a dog. But say it's like she's at a 2. You need to go to a 2.5 to get her attention. You know, so I usually do like a little leash correction, you know, because like animals are very physical. They respond physically. I think it's gotten a little misrepresented because you have to be neutral if you're doing that. You don't want to have any emotional energy, basically. And so you're just like, hey, stay with me. She needs a leader to help. Nope, we're not going to do that. And then you might walk in the opposite direction, and like your energy, you want your energy to be like soft, but very clear and concise, you know. But at that same token, if she's at a 5, can you go to a 5.5 with that same neutral energy? Hey, pay attention to me. Come on, we're going here. Sit, lay down. Good girl, you know. And it doesn't mean there's not an absence of love, but something about that in particular with a really strong-willed dog, that neutral, calm strength helps them to relax. It helps them to kind of sink into their body and gives them a purpose, gives them a way to focus that attention and energy that otherwise it's just like, oh my God, this is so much. I don't know how to contain or direct it. And then at the same token, what if she's at a 7? You know, can you stay neutral and be like, knock it off? You know, sorry if that was loud, but like that, can you feel that energy? We're like, I'm still here, but like I can go there. And the problem can happen like where like the kink in the wires happen. So say you're like actually trying to do 7.5, but you're like, hey, knock it off. Stop it. I don't like that right now. Well, even your body posture, you know, you're like collapsing a little bit, you know, or you're like getting angry and you're like coming in, you're losing your center. You know?
Ooh, yes. I like having that in the awareness.
Yep. And I really like, whether I'm working with horses, you know, in like horse therapy, or animals or kids, like it's all about keeping this, you know, and keeping a neutral space where you're present, you're aware, but being able to fluctuate wherever you need to be, you know. And so it's almost like you're fine-tuning these subtle awarenesses of how you move and play with your energy in life. And it's really important to be aware too, if she's at a 2 and you're at a 5, that's an untrustworthy leader. You know, you've just completely escalated the situation, which is going to shoot her nervous system out of the park, you know. So you want to really learn how to calibrate, read the situation, read where she's at, go right above her, you know. And in the beginning, like, and that's the thing, she's building your capacity. She's building your muscle and your ability to stay neutral while going to this level. And we all love the ones that are like a 2 and we just have to go to 2.5, but we don't really grow in those ways. Like, she is physically making you energetically stronger because she's asking you to step into that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yes. I've had a lot of growth in the last year. So,
yep.
yes.
And even recognizing that as her purpose too, and telling her that, like, thank you for helping me to grow. Like, it's uncomfortable. And I know sometimes I get overwhelmed and frustrated, but I can see how you're asking me to step into something that previously I haven't had to lean into. And at the same time, it's not about being hard either, because a dog with that level of strength and willpower, they need clear direction, but it has to be soft enough that they can also soften with you. And I think in particular, the massage is actually going to help. It's almost like she doesn't know how to soften yet, because there's just so much energy built up in the physical body.
Yeah.
And so I think the massage is a really helpful balance for her in particular, getting the pause. And, you know, she might like try and pull away, but just invite her to stay. It's also about inviting her to stay in her own discomfort, like you're teaching a meditation practice, you know, like, because she's like, she gets reactive and over responds because she is so uncomfortable within her own body. And so, like, you know, say you go for the pause and you touch it and she starts pulling away. You don't want to force it, but just kind of stay with her and keep doing it. You know, and it's okay. I know it's uncomfortable. We can sit with uncomfortable feelings. I'm with you. We're doing this together, you know. And then if you feel that slight, even a subtle moment where she just relaxes, then you take that off. Good job. We got it. We got that 1 second of like doggy meditation.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then you can start building on that. Maybe she relaxes and you're able to do it for 2 seconds more. She stays in that place of like, okay, I'm with an uncomfortable sensation, but I'm going to lean into it, you know. And so you slowly build her muscle, her presence, her awareness.
I love
I mean, it's very similar to us. We have discomfort and, oh, I'm going to go do this. Oh, I'm going to go do that, you know. And sometimes they're even good things. Oh, I'm anxious. I'm going to go do yoga. But be aware for yourself as well. Are you doing it as an avoidance, trying to run away from anger, anxiety, whatever, depression? Or can you invite it to sit with you? Hi, anxiety. Hi, anger. Hi, depression. I see that you're here. Thank you for being my teacher. And then going and doing, maybe then you're going to go work out or do your thing, but you're doing it not to disconnect from the intensity of human experience, but you're building your own capacity to be present with all of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Yep.
And then even going back to, we'll go back to Nala for a second on Derek. Well, one of the things that he does to keep her, like when he needs to calm her down, he just picks her up. You know, he picks her up, but he goes underneath her and holds her, like pulls her legs in, and she just melts into him. Like, it's just this whole like, okay, I feel safe now.
Yes.
And so the fact that you're even saying that, it's like, yeah, you know, if the holding her paws and, you know, all of that, all of this is totally making sense and resonating. So she'll go from running around at 100 miles an hour to like, she just melts. She literally will, like, her whole head and everything is just like draped around him. And in 2 seconds. So, well,
it's interesting because if you think of her as like the Aries dog, like Aries are like so of this world, they're physical, you know, and so that physical connection, like even like leash, being on a leash, doing like groundwork on the leash, sit, stay, like, focus, direction, activity, like those are very practical things that will help her. And it's like a kid. We have to figure out what are the different tools like that this child needs to succeed, to feel safe, to feel confident. And so, yeah, that's, I think, in the brief little snippet we had, I think those are really good ones. Probably could use a good solid, just clean out just to help her. Because I think like the percentage that's coming to mind is we could probably get more, like I would say 30 to like 45% lessening of some of the behavior problems just by clearing her out on a first session. I get the sense that she'll just become more and more receptive to that particular work over time, to the point where, because it just feels like there's a backlog, and that backlog is spilling over. Luna's obviously responding and reacting to that, like just like all the time. That's what Nala's energy feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, you just nailed it.
But that really, that energy, I think, is just in particular tied up with some of the blockage points and congestion along the spine and the kind of like the tweaks in the meridian lines. Once that gets kind of like rebalanced and strengthened, hi Ivan, then you'll find that she'll come into a more tuned, balanced place fairly easily, I think.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
That was amazing. I just want to check these comments real quick. See if there's anything here. We have Sarah, who is definitely interested. I worked with an animal for the first time recently. Oh, Sarah. So I know Sarah pretty well. I had no idea. We're going to have to talk. And then thank you for your thoughts on Luna, Sarah. I know I didn't get a chance to even tell her about it. And then she says, wow, incredible insights. And then Geronimo, hello, Geronimo. I was actually speaking about you today. And so he says, blessings, sister. Geronimo's amazing as well.
Nice.
So I know that you only had until the top of the hour. So we're here at the end. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And thank you for sharing your gifts. And thank you for tapping into Nala. We'll definitely be talking to you afterwards. So we'll see a little more on where we get with her, because I do want her to feel safe in her own body. I mean, that's important. So, amazing. Oh, and we have Amber here too. I didn't even know. That's the thing, is I can't tell who's watching and who's not. It's not even showing me eyeballs anymore. So, hey, Amber, so happy that you were able to hop on and to join us today too. So,
well, I will say, if you don't mind, real quick, I think it can be the relationship that you have with any of your animals can be really amplified if you understand what you're there to help teach each other. Because then you're like actively working on specific pieces that you have conscious awareness of. Whether it's, and it might be something that you might have to help your animal with as well. Oh, this one, I love Ivan, but he can be a little like only child, pay attention to me. And so like, I see you, but you need to give space for others. And so also taking in what they're teaching us and helping that to inform our path, our journey. And then also, how can we assist their soul on the journey that they've chosen to embark on, and why you guys have decided to do it together. And then I'll put my website in the comments as well if anyone wants to reach out or has more questions. But yeah, I really hope that everybody got some like good pieces of information today, and I'll answer any questions if they put them in the chat.
Absolutely. And feel free to also do another post in the next couple of days or tomorrow or whatever it is, and to share this information, because it is important. I feel like it's very important. Let's see. And people always want to know what their animals are thinking, right? They always want to get in their heads.
It's like dual therapy. Human
Yeah.
and animal.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So, do you have something that you're focused on right now? Like, what's going on in your life? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, really, like the biggest pieces are because I'm in Peru doing the online work. So, like I said, I do the work with pranic healing with people. That also includes karmic stuff, and also, like I was saying, a lot of like energy, like so like online therapy with people, energetic boundaries, pranic healing can all be included in one of those sessions, as well as the online work with animals. And whether it's a physical thing, a behavioral thing, or purely an energetic thing, that who knows what's going to happen. And then if anyone ever wants to come to Peru, I'm in the Sacred Valley and do integration horse therapy there, which is pretty magical.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
can
whole
only
other
imagine. Wow.
bag.
Yeah, I saw the results that you did here in that short time that you were here doing the cacao ceremonies. I heard so many amazing stories of how you were able to help with those who went and did and worked with the horses here. So,
Yep.
wow. And I think there are some members in Peru, actually. So that would
Nice.
be really
That's
great.
brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? What do you got going on?
So it's funny. Well, this is funny because of course, it's going to align with some of what you have going and what we've been talking about. I actually have a retreat. I have a retreat that I'm
Oh,
facilitating here, and it's actually connecting with the land. You actually had this, you sparked it. Yeah, clear back in 2018, 19, or whatever it was when you
wow.
came and you were, just teaching and being that example for me of honoring this land. And so, yeah, Amber or Amanda, I was just saw Amber on my thing down here. So, and also Sarah, thank you. Sarah saying thank you. She loved the presentation.
Nice.
Amanda Monk is a member here in this community too, and she came to visit. She lives in Wyoming, so she came to visit last month, and all of a sudden she just had that connection to the land as well. And we just thought, you know what, we need to do some activation because we're in a drought right now. We're in a drought.
Nice.
You would be very, very surprised that at how little water there is. There's hardly any
Wow.
water. So we're
Yeah.
going to actually it's called Rise, Adventure of Rock and Water. And we are going to go and we're going to connect with the land. We're going to connect with the red rocks. We're going to do some activations there. Definitely water activations because it's so needed right now.
Yep.
And just adventure and have an experience. So that's actually at the end of this month. And I'm actually going to put a post into the group today. Everybody that is a Red Lotus Life member actually receives 10% off on that.
Nice.
So I'll be posting all of that in here because there is still room. So I would love to have inviting everybody to come. And yeah, Leah, you were definitely part of that, of just honoring this land and the ancestors here and the lava and the red rocks and the water.
Make sure you give lots of offerings. That's like
yes,
just hammering me as you're talking about it. Give lots of offerings. Feed her if you want her to feed you with water.
Yes, exactly. And I remember the offering you asked me to bring for the cacao ceremony. Pretty sure it was vodka. Was it vodka?
Yes.
And you were
wine.
Like,
yeah.
Vodka, wine, and whiskey.
Yeah, because like wine goes to Pachamama because she likes the sweet things, and then hard liquor, give it to the sky, Sky Nation.
That's right. Okay, I'm writing this down because it was the hard liquor to the sky and then the wine to Pachamama.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. That was great. Yeah.
Anyway, that's exciting.
Yeah. So did you want to close this up with a closing invocation or?
Yeah. Closing ceremony, or invocation. To the Divine Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, to all of our great teachers, holy masters, saints, gurus, great beings of light, to all of our holy angels and archangels, to all of our ancestors, the ones that planted the seeds and pulled the weeds, to all of the earth elementals, to all the beings of the plant kingdom, to all the beings of the animal kingdom, and to all of our higher souls. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing us to gather and connect in this way today. Thank you for bringing the information through that you wanted to be shared, that needed to be heard. Thank you for helping to remind us to feed you and give thanks to the earth for all the things that she gives to us. Thank you for allowing us to continue to be mindful and aware, to even just say thank you to you. We're just so very humbled, grateful, and thankful for this opportunity to gather and connect in this way. And we say all this with deep gratitude, deep respect and humility, deep love and devotion. Aho.
Aho. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming and sharing your time and space with us and your gifts and just all the things always. I just have so much love and appreciation for you, and you just inspire me on the daily.
Aww,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if there's anyone who has questions, please put this, and you're watching the replay, please put your comments or questions in the comments below, in the comment box below, and we'll get to them. So
Perfect.
yeah, thank you so much, and have an amazing rest of your day.
Okay, ciao, mama.
Okay, bye.
Mwah.
And live your life today.